goes back. Dr. Harak Singh could have stayed as a doctor, but Dr. Harak Singh took the plunge to want to represent you and to want to represent you in what is arguably one of the toughest seats in St. Lucia.
I accept your endorsement. I accept your trust. And I accept the responsibility to be your candidate and soon to be parliamentary representative. For more than 5 years, you have sat in my office and you have told me your conversations, not just about your health concerns, but you have trusted me and told me about your social situations, your economic challenges, your educational struggles, and I have listened to them all.
I want you, when you go to the polls, I want you to think of your future. Think about somebody who came to you and said, give me your vote.
Good evening, St. Lucia, and welcome to another edition of Chill and Chat, the show that brings you closer to the candidates of the St. Lucia Labour Party. Every week, we sit down with one of the newly endorsed candidates to hear their story, not just about politics, but about the person behind the campaign. What shaped them, what drives them, and why have they chosen to serve at this important moment in our country's journey? Tonight, we're joined by John Paul Estephan, candidate for Babonneau. Over the next half hour, you'll get to know him personally, hear his vision, and understand his commitment to putting people first. So let's relax and let's chill and chat, because together we're moving forward with Labour. John, welcome to Chill and Chat.
Good evening, Mondi, and good evening, St. Lucia. Good evening, Babonneau. Bonjour, tout je Babonneau.
Lovely. John, so it's been long coming, and we have you back home and the St. Lucia Labour Party. But before we get into your journey into the politics, John, I'm sure there's some St. Lucians and even some people from Babonneau who don't know who John Paul Estephan is. Can you tell us a little about yourself?
John Paul Estephan is my name, like you've rightly said. I think I was named after the Pope. As to the why, I don't know. I was born in the Dennery area, and I grew up in Deborah. So from the time of 6, I started living in Deborah. I think I didn't even forget to put me at school, because when I moved to Deborah, I had not started my formal education. So the person I am today, the man that I am, all of that would stem from me growing up in a small community in Deborah. At home, more or less like a single family, so I would have learned in terms of caring, sharing, patience, because I have 5 brothers and sisters who are living at home with me. The value of being content with little, and even the struggle. And if you know about Deborah, Deborah is like a backwater community, almost like isolated from the rest of St. Lucia. So from early, we had to build what we call resilience, a lot of self-reliance. We had to do things on our own. Growing up in Deborah, you had basically 2 standpipes, and everybody had to go to this standpipe to get water for various activities at home. There was no electricity. I did all my formal education at Deborah with no electricity. Imagine when I was at A-level college at one time, there used to be a generator that they had put. And that's to show you how isolated and removed from the rest of the community that Deborah was. We had our own generator. And every night at midnight, sometimes while I'm there studying, the generator would go off.
Wow.
So in terms of struggle, in terms of being reliant on yourself and in terms of resilience. So that raising up in that community, that engendered this kind of values in me. And this is what I bring to the table and to the St. Lucia Labour Party.
Wow, I mean, that's truly a story of resilience. And I'm sure a lot of St. Lucians can identify with that story. But nonetheless, I mean, here you are today. You have a master's in mathematics or something of the sort?
I did my first degree in computer science and mathematics, but my master's degree was in education,
And okay.
more or less like looking at integration of technology in education. My thesis at the time was looking at professional development of teachers in the primary school setting. So, well, notwithstanding the struggle at the beginning, I feel in terms of the success, I'm a success story. I'm the product of the Debarra School. And there are many others like me who have gone to the Debarra School and they have experienced that success. There are some of the students that would have thought there's a particular young lady, Alicia Vala. She has a PhD now and she's a lecturer at South Louis Community College. If you go to the St. Aloysius R.C. Boy Primary School, we have a Pamela Joseph here. She has a master's degree in education on her way to getting a PhD. All these are students from the Debarra School. So yes, we may have started the struggle, but then with determination, a lot of willpower, and commitment to success, we can grow up the ladder and achieve a lot.
Wow, that's really commendable, and I think it really ties into what St. Lucia Labour Party offers. That no matter where you come from, your address, your surname, that with the right opportunities, that you can be anything that you want to be, and you're a living testimony of that,
Yeah,
John.
and that's one of the things that I like about the St. Lucia Labour Party is like, well, some people have been labeled as non-entities, the lack of pedigree. The St. Lucia Labour Party does not look at your background. They look at the person you are, your character, what you bring to the table. They appreciate talent and give people the opportunity, and that is what they have been doing for St. Lucians over the years. And the path that we are on in terms of where the government of St. Lucia has taken us, I think it bodes well for the people of St. Lucia in terms of the progress that we can make going forward with the St. Lucia Labour Party.
Indeed, and I know it's not my interview, but I must say that for me it resonates because for me I'm just a girl from Cicero, no big last name, single parent household, but I can work right next to the Prime Minister of St. Lucia every single day, and I count that a true honor for me, and the St. Lucia Labour Party has provided that opportunity. But John, so we know a little about your background, well, a lot now, because, sharing these stories, I think, it's something that can inspire others. But let's go outside of politics and public life. You're on the campaign trail right now. How has that been? How has your reception in Babonneau been for you?
Well, the reception in Babonneau is excellent. Like I said, I grew up in Babonneau. A lot of people in Babonneau, especially the young people, they would know me as someone who organized sporting events. So I would have organized cricket and football. I served in the Babonneau Youth and Sports Council for a number of years. Initially, I was the treasurer, and then I served as first vice president between 2001 to 2006. I spent these 5 years in the Babonneau Youth and Sports Council, and I would have helped the community, especially Debarra, serve on the cricket team, the football team. In fact, I captained the football team and the cricket team. And the thing about Debarra is like, I still going back to Debarra because growing up in Debarra is like the value of leadership. So we would have some of our elders, so people like George Jules and Moses Wilfred. These people, they were like the elders when I was growing up. So they would have molded us and shaped our upbringing and provided us with the leadership that was necessary at the time. So when these guys moved on, that mantle was passed on to me. So I had the responsibility of looking after the younger generation, guiding them, molding them. And the spirit of Kudme is one that we embrace so well in Babono, especially Deborah. So we have some young fellas, young guys on the block who, without reason, you call them and they are able to help.
So we can see, John, your connection to your community, the service, the community service that you've provided. But now here you are, the endorsed candidate for Babino. What is it that you think is, I hear about the Kudme and that community spirit, but what are some of the other strengths that you think of Babino that you, as the candidate and potentially the next MP for Babino, what do you think these strengths of Babino are that you want to bring out, that you want to cultivate so that people know that, you know what, Babino is here and we have a contribution to make to the development of St. Lucia?
Okay, so in terms of human resource, I think we have that in abundance in Babono. We have had some outstanding sportsmen and women from Babono. So what we want to do is to build on that, harness the talent of the youth in Babono. We also have first facilities at high altitude. So when you go to the Lage playing field, high altitude, the Deborah playing field, again high altitude, and you don't have playing fields in St. Lucia where you can train. And there's an advantage in training in areas of high altitude. You have less oxygen. So when you go down to sea level, you have an advantage over your peers. So what we want to do is to build on these strengths and create facilities where we can develop centers of excellence for the young people, football, cricket, athletics, so we can build on that. We also have the land and the farmers, so we have to build on this and give them the market and the opportunities so that they can grow and, well, the economy, job creation, and they can move forward with that.
Okay, thanks for that, John. John, when you came into politics, and I mean at the community level, there's its own politics, but now you've decided to come to this at a national level, into the political arena, and your entrance hasn't been without its rancor. And I'm sure you are no stranger to the political arena because your family is well known in that. What was your persuasion after seeing them go through everything that they went through? Why would you choose to do this?
I think in the community, people saw me as a natural leader. Based on the service that I had rendered, people always looked at me as helping them at the highest level, where you can shape policy to help the young children with the education, to help the sportsmen, to build them. When my brother entered politics, well, let me go back. I started following the St. Lucia Labour Party from 1987. At the time, I was a teenager living with my grandmother in the Dennery area, Dennery River to be exact. When I came to Babono, I continued following the St. Lucia Labour Party. I was intimately involved in the Ken F. John campaign, followed that with Michael Gasper, Felix Finisterre, and even Alvin Reynolds. But I went off the boil for a little while. You may have heard of, or you would have seen evidence of me being interested in running elections for the United Workers' Party. That was out of a need to serve the people of Babono. But I would have changed course because, number one, at the local level, the leadership, even at the branch level for Babono, was not inspiring. So when we talk about issues like accountability, that left a lot to be desired, okay? And if you go even at the national level, I don't have any confidence in the leadership of the United Workers' Party. They would not inspire me for me to even associate And that is why I never completed the application to run for the United Workers' Party. And if you're well aware, to run for the United Workers' Party, to complete that application, number one, you needed a letter of intention. You needed to fill out what they call an application form and pay $500. You needed 2 character references. You needed a police record, and you needed to submit a copy of your ID. So whilst I showed interest in the early instance, I never followed through with the application because number one, after the convention and they reaffirmed Alan Chastney as the leader, I had absolutely no confidence that I would run any election under Alan Chastney. And number two, based on my love and history for the St. Lucia Labour Party, there is no way that I would go on any platform and speak against the excellent work that the St. Lucia Labour Party has been doing. If you look at how we manage the economy, there has been growth in the economy for a number of years. The fiscal prudence of Philippe J. Pierre is unmatched by what I would describe as the fiscal profligacy of the previous Prime Minister, who is Alan Chastney. The work that we have done in education, the support that we have provided for exam fees, laptops, now we're paying CXC. If I tell you, when I wrote CXC in 1990, a gracious gentleman by the name of Anthony Alcid helped my mother to pay the 8 CXCs for me. Now the St. Lucia Labour Party is paying 4 and you're just paying 5. All right? So the performance of Labour and me always being in love with Labour Party, that is what caused me not to follow that path. And I believe if I had followed that path, I would fall straight down the precipice. And I'm happy I saw the starlight.
Guiding you back
Guided
home.
me back. So like the prodigal son, I am happy to be back home with Labour. And I am extremely honored that the Labour Party has selected me to be the candidate for the Babonneau seat. And I'm even more than that, I am inspired that with me and the people of Babonneau, together we can create a Babonneau that everyone will be proud of, because there are amazing opportunities for growth and development in Babonneau.
Thank you, John, and thank you, St. Lucia. We'll be right back after the break. I'm here with John Estephan, the endorsed candidate for Babonneau on the St. Lucia Labour Party ticket.
Babonneau, we are coming! This Sunday, October 12th from 3 p.m., the St. Lucia Labour Party proudly launches John Estephan, your candidate who will lead with purpose, passion, and progress. Join us as we stand together with our political leader and Prime Minister, Honorable Philippe J. Pierre, to celebrate leadership, development, and opportunities for all St. Lucians. This Sunday, Babonneau comes alive with John Estephan and Prime Minister Pierre. We are moving forward together.
We feel ready, no? Jump off for Babonneau.
St. Lucia, it's time to chill and chat. Every Tuesday night at 8 on Hot 7 TV. Join Mondi Lewis as she sits with candidates of the St. Lucia Labour Party, sharing their stories, their vision, and their plans for you. Let's move forward together. Don't miss it.
I'm your host, Mondi Lewis, and with me, the endorsed candidate for Babonneau, Mr. John Paul Estephan. We've been having a very interesting conversation, John, about, why the St. Lucia Labour Party. But now I want to get from you, if the people of Babonneau place their trust in you, what will be your top priorities as a representative?
Can I dream big? So if I
go big or go home.
If I dream big, I would tell you that I want to transform Babono into another town, a la Castries and Groseley. But this is not about building castles in the sky. What I would want to see in Babono, first of all, for the young people, I want an organized sports on a yearly basis, but I also want the facilities that would facilitate that. So earlier on, I would have spoken about Lage and Deborah being at high altitude. So if we can get like first-class facilities for football at Lage and a first-class facility for cricket at Deborah, that would be some of the things that I would want to work on. In terms of education, I would want to capitalize on the vision or the promise made by the Prime Minister to have free early childhood education and set up an early childhood center in Gara. Alongside that, we want to look at the Rizina playing field for Gara. And Gara is a community that I would want to place particular attention on because of the social environment. I think Gara, we need to give Gara a lot more attention. I would want to place that attention on Gara. I would want also to focus on our elderly. There's an elderly program that is already happening. We want to build on that and capitalize. It would be nice for us to have some transportation system, because if you look at Babono, we have a lot of hills and valleys, and sometimes you have the elderly people, if the ambulance cannot come to meet them, well, in case of emergency, we will call the ambulance, but at other times, they would need some assistance in getting health care. So if we can have a system in place that will provide that facility for them, that would be good. And we have an agro-processing plant that is just lying
You sure it's still ours?
in Foaso. Well, if it is ours, I would want us to make use of that plant and even expand it where you have market facilities where the farmers can come there on a weekend and then sell their produce and so on and so forth. If I may just go back to the early point about the youth, we need to capitalize on what the Labour Party is already doing in terms of the youth economy and get a specialized training, what we call a youth development, a small business development officer, especially for the Babono area where our young people, they can take advantage of the opportunities that is already being provided by the St. Lucia Labour Party.
Correct. And John, nothing about the food, let me tell you, Babono have, I think, some of the best food, you know, especially around Christmas. But maybe that's for the topic. But I think that's like one of my favorite places.
I think I forget to mention that part in terms of the ecotourism and having those trails and then the culinary projects. We already have a project happening in Deborah. Every Wednesday you have a seafood Wednesday. And if you like good food from Babono, maybe that's one of the places.
I think I saw that ad. I'm sorry, but I've just never been able to go to it. Like, I need to. I saw that ad. Okay. I saw it. Right. But John, you know, you've clearly been a leader in the community, and when you are going to serve people, especially at this level, you know, there's some kinds of qualities that people expect from you. Let's look to the future, and let's say that you've won the seat and, you know, you're on your retirement. What kind of leader do you want people to say that you were?
I think I would want them to say that I cared. I listened to them. I embraced them and I empowered them. And they were always able to count on me to deliver for them.
Right, and I think that's very important, especially within a Labour Party context, because, you know, Philip JPA is known to be the leader of compassion, the leader who cares. So I'm happy to hear you really kind of parrot those same qualities. And I think it will make for a good leader once you get that nod from the people of Babonneau. John, going forward, what does your campaign look like? You know, any areas that you're really focused on? Any challenges on the trail? Like what has that experience been like for you, really?
Well, the mood is definitely red in Babonneau. And the thing about Babonneau, whilst in the last how many elections,
Yes.
the seat may have flipped. What is working well for us is that on the other side, we have a leader that is still very unpopular. We have a leader that does not embrace talent and think of people as non-entities. And to me, if you don't have pedigree, then you cannot serve with him or under him. And we have a prime minister who is well loved. Okay, I'm telling you that our prime minister, Philip J. Pierre, is well loved in the community of Babonneau. So when I go to the different houses and I speak to the people and they tell me how caring, how concerned, how committed, okay, how honorable our prime minister is, that gives me a special feeling that I am on the right side, and I will do everything in my power to ensure that, hey, number one, Babonneau is not in opposition, and two, we can deliver for the young people, the farmers, the elderly, in fact, all of the people of Babonneau.
Great. And I think you've really covered it, and we hope this time that, you know, you can bring the seat home again, because, you know, St. Lucia will stay with Labour, and we hope Babonneau will be a part of that, John. But John, going forward, your launch will be next week, Sunday. So how has the mobilization for that been?
Well, we've started the mobilization. A lot of people are excited about the launch. And we're looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that at that launch we can unveil some of the plans that we have to transform Babonneau, to engage the young people, and then build a community where all of us, and irrespective of where you are, whether you're yellow, green, of course, if you are Labour, then you would be part and part of the parcel of what is it that we are doing. But what we don't want to do is to exclude anyone, so we want to include everybody. We want to empower everybody, and then at that launch, we will unveil some of the plans that we have for building a better Babonneau, because I certainly believe now it's Babonneau.
Lovely. And St. Lucia, that launch will take place on October 12th, and we will let you know some more information as the week goes on. But John, as we wrap up, any final thoughts, any words for the people of Babonneau and the people of St. Lucia?
Well, for the people of Babonneau, I just want to tell the people of Babonneau, I am one of you. I am a humble servant. I believe in servant leadership. I believe in listening to people, to understand what are their issues, what are their frustrations. I believe together we can put plans in place to build a Babonneau where all of us will be proud of Babonneau. And like I have said before, I want to include everyone. I want to embrace everyone. I want to empower everyone. So farmers, teachers, young people, the elderly, everyone, we will work together to build a Babonneau that all of us will be proud of.
Thank you, John. And St. Lucia, there you have it, the endorsed candidate for Babonneau, Mr. John Paul Estephan. And we'll see you on Sunday, October 12th at the grand launch. And I'm sure, I don't know how much bigger we can get, St. Lucia, but you know, our Prime Minister has given us a mission of 16,000 people. So, you know, we've just seen a spectacular launch from Shanda Haraksin, and we look forward to joining you in Babonneau, John.
So thank you.
Thank you, St. Lucia. My name is Mondi Lewis, and I am your host of Chill and Chat. Thank you for joining us.
The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts and guests are solely their opinions and responsibility. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Hot 7 TV or its affiliates.
Hot 7 TV is the rising star of television in St. Lucia with our stunning 100% HD quality, fresh exciting programming, including a balanced professional newscast. We are now the fastest growing TV station in all time slots on cable. Additionally, over 10,000 households carry our plug and play antennas. Our mobile app has over